Hey, it's 7 Grains of Salt. All are uniting under the papacy. It's unbelievable and hard to see and sad to see, but truth matters now more than anything. You have to understand what is going on. Service Christi, let's take a look at what he had.
Maybe they're wrong on a few things, but aren't they sincere? They seem so sincere. The answer to this is that sincerity is not the issue. Truth is the issue.
Give me your number one reason why you believe every pastor and worship leader should not play Jesus culture / Bethel worship, Hillsong worship in their church.
Yes, Todd, because this music comes from two false churches. Neither Bethel nor Hillsong in Sydney, Australia, meet the biblical definition of a true church. Bethel and Hillsong, these are false churches, and they are dens of wolves. Bethel music, copyright Hillsong, and let's throw in elevation music with that as well, Stephen Furtick. So these are false churches. False churches that exploit the poor, the sick, the desperate, the widows, who preach a false Jesus, a false atonement, and a false gospel. But if there's anything worse than murdering babies, it is sending people down the primrose path to hell. That's worse. Blaspheming God, that's worse. False churches that are opposed to Christ, opposed to the gospel, teaching a false gospel, leading people to hell. So when they see the fine print, they think, oh, Bethel, oh, Hillsong, I think I'll check them out. They must be okay. We're singing their music. And so they use their music as a hook to pull unsuspecting people into their false theological system.
And so the local church singing those songs give the local church's stamp of approval. The pastor is saying, it's okay, congregation, these songs are fine, and you can follow the people who produce them. Or they hear them on the radio, then they see them that we're singing them in church, and they go, they're fine. Right. Now, because they believe the music is okay, because evangelicals as a whole have put a stamp of approval on Bethel and Hillsong music, therefore putting a stamp of approval on the churches.
Right.
And also the association with what teachers, and this is both Bethel and Hillsong, because Justin, you're right, Hillsong I don't think is as extreme outwardly as Bethel is. But does Bill Johnson ever preach at Brian Houston's church and vice versa?
Yes.
Do any other false teachers preach in their pulpits?
Yes. Hillsong has been the host to practically every well-known false teacher that soils the landscape of evangelicalism today. They endorse everyone. Bill Johnson has spoken there numerous times recently. Bill Johnson, you name it. They endorse Kenneth Copeland. They endorse Joel Osteen. They endorse Benny Hinn. All of them. Hillsong does, yes, okay. Absolutely.
So as you've heard, and I've had in many videos prior, Hillsong and Bethel should be avoided. They are false teachers. Jesus culture comes from Bethel. Hillsong United, Young and Free, when you're united with them, you're united with all that they are agreeing with. There's no repentance. There's just false doctrine. He also mentions Matt Redman in another video.
Here he is. Hillsong Church posted this, 2014, only 3 months until Hillsong Conference. We can't wait to have Matt Redman with us. He is a longtime friend of Hillsong. Longtime friend of Hillsong. This is, let's see, Hillsong, Bethel, and Redman to share the stage as a trifecta of epic worship proportions at the Hillsong Conference in London. Hillsong, Bethel, Matt Redman. Why are they all together? Because they all believe and teach the same thing. So if Bethel is leading people to hell, so is Matt Redman. Matt Redman is as bad as Bethel and or Hillsong. There are no two ways about it.
And as he said earlier, they've all preached at each other's churches. Bill Johnson, Brian Houston, they've exchanged and gone to each other's churches. These are just a few of the NAR. There's many. Lance Wallnau, especially, one of the big promoters of the NAR movement. They mention the grave soaking as well of Benny and Bill Johnson. Unbelievable. I've had it in other videos. And they get the stamp of approval from the evangelicals to bring in Hillsong, to bring Jesus culture into their churches, and it's going all around the world. Then he mentions TBN partnering with Hillsong. And yes, they did. When we go here to the Hillsong channel, TBN. That is who both Hillsong and TBN are, the ones who launched this channel. But when you go down further, partner programs. Elevation Church, Joel Osteen. Enjoying Everyday Life, Joyce Meyer. Other churches as well. Oh boy, they are all linked and connected to one another. This is big. So we have the music, we have the churches, we have the broadcasting networks, we have TBN, CBN. Everyone's saying, yes, oh, this is great. Let's do this. It's on TBN stations. So then I have a question. What's the difference when we have a Together Conference 2020 in front of an obelisk in the USA, and then we have Pope having ecumenism at the St. Peter's Square, which has an obelisk as well? Well, let me tell you, there's not really much of a difference, because for 4 years now, Pope Francis even joined Lecrae and Hillsong. And look at all the other names that you should recognize some of these. Louis Palau, Ravi Zechariah, Carrie Job maybe you might recognize, or Kirk Franklin. So many others. And the worship leaders, which are Michael W. Smith, Matt Mayer. Come now, every tribe, every nation, every tongue, 20 different denominations are represented at Hillsong. Here we are on their website. Breathe again. Let's scroll down. There they are. There's their conference photos. Come now, every tribe, every nation, 20 different denominations. C3, Lutheran, Pentecostal, Salvation Army, Uniting, Baptist, Catholic, Charismatic. And this is not just in America. This is happening all around the world because they have accepted Hillsong worship and Jesus culture worship. This is dangerous beyond what some understand. So if you're singing their songs, it's worse than giving money towards abortions. That's what he said.
Please know, when you sing these songs in your churches, there is money that goes into these false churches every single time you
sing Hillsong in Bethel.
Let's just say Planned Parenthood decides to write some Christian music that would pass a doctrinal smell test.
Okay.
Would you sing it in your church?
Ooh, good question.
Knowing that some money, every time you sing that song, is going to support an organization that murders babies, would you sing that song in your church?
Ooh.
I would submit to you that singing Bethel and Hillsong, when you're sending money to those false churches, that's far worse.
A very good video to watch. Talks about Justin Peters and Friel not really speaking boldly about MacArthur and how he has also united with TBN and some of these other heretics. So he's been a bit critical with them, but I'm not going to get into the middle of that. I suggest you watch. It's a great show. I'll add both links below. But then I'll just show you quickly things you might notice in this video of Hillsongs. I will add the video below, but just so you can see, the bigger pictures are from the Hillsong video, and the ones in the middle there are just similar ones that you can see that are happening everywhere else around the world, in the secular world. And just so you understand, I have a few videos, older videos, that's where I found out all about Hillsong and started seeing everything, just like this video on Joel and Esther Hillsong doing yoga. That's what they were doing, and she promoted it, said, I'm a yogi, which is a yoga master, which means she had to go and bow down before a sensei in a ceremony. And you can watch that video or the Hillsong video where I go through a lot of symbolism that I saw in them, first seeing it in their CD covers and concerts, and then also in her own site and her fashion line. So take a look at that. I'll add the links. This is what I see when everyone is uniting under the one church, the Catholic Church. And all that comes to my mind is, come out of her. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and Elohim has remembered her iniquities. Truth, it does actually matter. And you have to know where to draw the line. Are you going to just stand with truth, or just stay there just because you enjoy the people and it's fun? Church is fun. And then you don't know what's coming out of the songs and the music. Research, no. If you don't believe what I'm saying, research, please. God bless. Stay vigilant. Take care.